And it's time for the Are We Live song. Still preparing. Yay, we're live. I think I'm gonna make an actual jingle or something like that to be my Are We Live song, because it happens every single time I go live. So I'm just gonna quickly make sure I am live on Facebook as well and make sure I've got a tab open so I can see any comments. Yay, I can, and my hair is doing this thing again. I don't understand that one. Does anyone else get that? Does anyone have any solutions for that? If you do, let me know. So if you're joining me, say hello, let me know you're here. I love knowing who's catching me live. And if you're watching the replay, also get in touch, say hi. I would love to know what you think. Today we're talking about, does form really matter? We have all heard about good form. We all know instructors who are total sticklers for technique and won't let you get away with anything that's less than perfect. But is that really necessary? Is that approach really helpful? And does it matter about technique being that good or that bad? Like, does it make a difference? Hey, Charlie. Hey, Annie. Good to see you. So yeah, does form make that much of a difference? Before I dive into the main thing, I just want to remind you that the Orchard is open for enrollment, and I'm just going to be really cheeky and I'm going to share that link right now. So it's only open until next Friday, so there's only a week left to join. So if you would like to join me, I should really get these links ready beforehand, but that link is there just now. So if you want to come and join me in the Orchard, you can just click that link and come and have a look. Anyway, back to form. What is form? Form talks to us about the quality of our movement, be it the kind of muscle activity, the range of motion, the direction of travel, the tempo, and the kind of subtleties between how we use different parts of our body. Form refers to, good form refers to movements kind of close to our perceived ideal. And when we mean that, we mean we're using the correct muscles, we're using the correct form, we're working towards that kind of ideal squat, that ideal push-up, that ideal invert for the polars amongst us. Hey, oh, I like that Charlie is sneaking in. I want to know where you're sneaking in from. So good form talks about being technically close to an ideal. And this can vary from sport to sport, from discipline to discipline. A power lifter is going to have a very different ideal form through things than a yogi, for example. Good form through dressage is different to good form through show jumping, for example. So form can be outcome specific or sport specific, depending on what we're doing. Oh, Charlie is sneaking in from her day job. Love it. Me too, technically. I don't know how that works. So form is, good form is something to work towards. It is dependent on your body, your aims, your sports, but it's generally referring to form, to a movement or a process or a series of movements that are close to that perceived ideal. And I would like to know, is there anything that you're working on form-wise? Is there anything that you are personally struggling with form? Is there anything you know what good form looks like, but you're struggling to get there? I'd love to know your experience of trying to work towards good form, or if you've worked with instructors, for example, who can't really tell you what good form is or why and how that's impacted your training. I'd love to hear more about your experience with that too. There's a few things that can happen with bad form in particular that I wanted to bring up, and this isn't something to be really concerned about. This isn't something to be worried about as such, because with bad form, the most common outcome is our workouts are just less effective. We're not hitting the right muscles, we're not getting the same range of motion. It's just not going to get us to our goal as quickly as if we were working with better form. Of course, at the most bad, we have potential for increased injury risk. We have the potential for falls, slips, trips, more severe injuries, particularly if we start looking at things like horse riding, pole dancing, any aerial sports, anything else. So we can have instances where poor form can make things dangerous, but these are less common. We're more likely to feel muscle aches and imbalances or just not reach our goals as quickly. So while good form is aiming for an ideal and bad form is on the sliding scale, I would always say in 99% of instances, something is better than nothing. If you're worried about form, just start where you are with what you have and pay attention to how your body feels. What we're most likely going to find when we first start doing something is we might get a bit DOMS, so delayed onset muscle soreness or day 2 pain. We might feel a little bit stiff the next day. But for the most part, it starts creating that habit of us moving. And then once you have that habit of moving, then we can start being more predictive about your form and making sure your technique is correct. But I would say 99% of times, something is better than nothing. If you're not sure though, of course, do get in touch, drop me a message. I'm always happy to help. And we are all constantly learning. So while good form is trying to get close to this ideal, and bad form can potentially be inefficient, contribute to imbalances or aches and pains, or at worst comes worse and not so commonly can be quite dangerous. We're all constantly learning and revising how we move and learning different tips that make things more nuanced and more impactful for different muscles. I mean, I play with push-ups all the time and I'm still finding new ways of tapping into different muscles, and I've worked in fitness for 11 years. So we never stop learning about the kind of subtleties and nuances. It's all just about kind of keeping that journey going, and starting where you are with what you have is the most important step to reaching good form or perfect form for your body. Is there anything that you would like to try that you worry about getting it right? Because I know that when form comes up as a topic, it can be a real source of anxiety for people. People are either worried about hurting themselves or about looking daft or anything like this. So if there's anything that comes up for you that you are not sure about, if you're really worried about how your form is impacting your body or how things look or how things feel, let me know, drop me a message, share in the group, and I'm sure all of us will be happy to support you. Charlie has said, goddamn press ups. I've been doing them so wrong for so long, having to retrain myself, and it's fine when I concentrate, but goes to shit when I'm tired. Doesn't it just? Yeah. And this is another interesting thing about form. So when we think about our technique, when we're first learning a movement, it takes about 1,000 repetitions to learn a movement pattern. When we're correcting our technique, it can take about 10,000 repetitions to learn a movement pattern. So I would always say, yes, get started, get into that habit, but do start looking at your form straight away. And that brings me really well onto my next point, because you can check your own form. There are no rules that say you can't have a look at how you're doing and what you're doing. So the way I would suggest doing this, record your training. I record basically everything I do. I train by myself quite often, and I video things so I can check in with my body and where it is and what it's up to. And what we can see in a video that we can't necessarily see when we're moving is things we didn't expect to be happening. So we might think we're only moving our arm, but actually our lower back is getting involved. We're moving to the side, our head is up, our shoulders here, our shoulders there. We can see, for instance, with pull-ups, for example, you can see if one shoulder's doing more work than the other. We can start to look for things we can't necessarily feel, and then we can start addressing those by ourselves. So we can start tweaking and looking for things. And Charlie, do you record your training at the moment? I know you will do for some of your pole stuff, but do you record your training on a regular basis? And this is a question for everyone. Actually, do you record it? And how do you feel about recording your training? Because I know it's a bit strange. It's a bit of it feels a bit kind of self-indulgent and a little bit weird, but it's hugely beneficial. I record everything. I have got pole training videos going back to like 2012. So yeah, I record my training and have done for a really long time, because it lets me check in with my technique, and it means that my 1,000 repetitions to start with are as high quality as I can make them. So I don't then have to do my 10,000 repetitions to correct them as much. Form is a big topic. I know that. There's lots of resources out there to help you kind of tweak things. If you see any articles or anything like that you're not sure if you should listen to them, if it's right, how to interpret it, again, drop me a message, post in the group, happy to help. One of the biggest things I will say about form, and this is kind of more of a mindset issue, is I know it's scary asking for help with this stuff. I had my first ever singing lesson on Wednesday, and I was, excuse my French, shitting myself. I was terrified. I had, like, my knees were wobbly, like my throat kept going, which isn't great in a singing lesson. I was all sweaty, I had dry mouth. Again, not great for a singing lesson. But because I'm used to being on the coach's side, I could rationalize that this is what she does. This is what Sharon Stacey is paid to do. This is her life. This is everything she does, is helping people improve their technique. And the same goes for fitness instructors, personal trainers, aerial instructors, horse riding instructors, any sport you can think of. We are here to help you improve your technique. That is essentially the essence of my job, is I help you move better. And that doesn't mean we're making big changes. It can be a little bit of a focus point. It can be a little bit of a tweak here, bringing a little bit more awareness there. It doesn't mean we're going to pick everything apart, and it doesn't mean we're going to pick everything apart right away. What we'll do is start by just layering on a little bit more awareness, making a couple of tweaks and building from there. So I would really say, make sure you get in touch with someone if you need help with your form, because yeah, that's the plan. That is what we are aiming to do. We are here to help you improve your form. So I've just seen questions come in and it always drags me off my train of thought. And I just want to reiterate again, don't worry about your form when you're just starting out. We all start out where we are with what we have, and then we can gradually layer up more awareness, more proprioception, more precision as we build up confidence. So Charlie said, was for a little while, but not at the moment. I will again now you've mentioned it. Awesome. That's so great. And the thing is, I go through phases of not filming stuff, and then I go through phases of filming everything, and it does ebb and flow. But I always get more out of it when I film things and I review things. Particularly, one of my ways of training pole dancing is if it's just me and a pole, I will dance for a song, record the whole thing, watch it back, look for bits I like, look for bits I don't, take a break during that song, put another song on, dance again. So I kind of do intervals with songs, and then I watch things back in the session so I can see where I'm at and see if there's things I like and things I want to play with, things I want to change the angles of. And that is a huge part of my training whenever it's just me, a pole, and a set of speakers. Craig says, I'm looking to exercise tonight on the open training, but I have no specific workout planned. Will I still be okay to join? Of course, Craig, I can help you find something to do. So Craig is one of my new members of the Orchard. Welcome, Craig. Just totally outing you there. And open training is open to everyone tonight. So if you'd like to come and join, we can talk a bit about technique and how to improve it and how to get help. But open training is designed to be open training. We come and we do our own plans, and then we kind of come, like, we can chat, we hang out. It's far more low-key, it's not a class. But what I can do if you're not used to that sort of exercise is I'll help you find resources, programs, workouts that you can use so that you can still join in and still get something out of the session. And it will help build your confidence in that, yeah, you can work out by yourself, because the Orchard is not, I'm not here to hold your hand. I will support you, but you have your own body, and I want to help you kind of foster that autonomy and that empowerment that you can do what's right for your body. And it actually follows on really nicely that I've just added the Technique Hub back into the Orchard. So I migrated from one platform to another at the end of last year, which was a headache. Please never make me do that again. And I've got the Technique Hub back, and that's a growing resource, and I'm still adding to it. But in there, there's already planks, side planks, lunges, squats. There's a few different exercises in there where you can go in and see the kind of method and the madness behind the technique tweaks I make. So that's in there in the Orchard. So if you're worried about your technique, there's ways that you can look and things and resources there to support you in assessing your own technique. As I said, the Orchard closes a week today at 9 o'clock GMT. So if you would like to join, please do. I'm just going to recap with kind of the headlines for today, because I think this is quite I do have an outline here. I was very organized. I do have an outline, but it's not so much step by step. It's a little bit more this concept, this concept, this concept. And I just want to make sure I give you the headlines. Form refers to the quality of a movement, both in terms of the tempo, the muscles used, the overall results, the control, the awareness. Good form refers to getting close to a perceived ideal, whether it be for performance, for aesthetics, for injury prevention, for efficiency. Good form also varies from sport to sport. Training with bad form, at the very least, is going to be inefficient. So we do want to have good form to make sure we're efficiently working towards our goals. And in some instances, poor form can contribute to injury risk, be it through cumulative wear and tear or through kind of slips, trips, falls, pulls, strains, dislocations, whatever is coming into mind. So while bad form is not something we want to foster, it's also not something I want you to be afraid of. I would much rather see you get started with what you have just now, and then we can work towards having that really polished form. But you can't have polished form without starting. You have to get started. You can check your form by filming yourself. So make sure you have a video, a camera, whatever it is you use, and you can record and watch back. I'd say there's some things we can do looking in a mirror, but I find looking in a mirror, especially if you're trying to turn our head, it changes the overall exercise. So I'd recommend, it's not quite as good as kind of instantaneous feedback like you get from an instructor in the room, but watching back in a video, it shows you where you are in space, which sometimes is not where we think we'd be. Sometimes we think we're somewhere that we are just not. And if you are worried about your form, reach out and talk to a trainer, be it me, be it someone else. Make sure you reach out and talk, and don't be like, I know it's a really silly thing to say, don't be embarrassed. We understand it can be embarrassing when you first reach out for help, but we are here to create a safe space for you where you can ask questions, explore and enjoy movement in a way that works for your body. It's not about, I don't want to have people who are already perfect. You know, I don't want to have people who've got great form and everything. There's nothing for me to do there. I mean, apart from just be really horrible to them and give them horrible workouts. But actually, I love working with people to just make small changes to their technique that make their workouts more efficient, that make their workouts more meaningful, that make them more aware of what their body's doing, and make them realize how much coordination they already have. So if you're worried about reaching out for help, drop me a message, because it's literally why I'm here. I want to help you improve that form. And we never get bored of it. So some of you might know that I work alongside Neola Wilby, who wrote the Strength and Conditioning Guide for Pole Dancers. I'm one of her coaches as well as running Cherry Tree. And we talk about technique and form all the time. And we never finish things on time because we get carried away with the nuances, the technique, the new research that comes out. This is exciting for us. So never think you're getting in the way, never think you're being in imposition. Message, and we'll help you with your form. It's what coaches and fitness coaches are here to do. I'm going to give you all a chance to ask any questions. Is there anything in particular you struggle with your form? So Charlie's already said press-ups, and press-ups are an interesting one because there's so many different kinds. But I'd love to know what other exercises there are that you struggle with, that you would like help with, or that you avoid because you worry about your form. So as per usual, there's a little gap between what I'm saying and when messages and when it's on Facebook. So I'll give you just a moment to type in any questions. I'm going to have some more of my apple juice. Got Capella, treated myself. Give me just a little bit longer. And I still get help with my technique too. I feel like it's worth saying. I see my physio every month if I can, because I ask my body to do some dumb stuff. So I go and see Rebecca from Twist Physiotherapy every month, which is awesome. If you're based in West Yorkshire, highly recommend her. And Rebecca and we regularly discuss things, and I think I've got pretty good coordination, but then we find out last time I went that my hamstring and my lower back were doing work that my glute median and glute min should be doing. So we've done some exercises to rebalance that, and it's really subtle stuff, but I am still finding out things that my body's doing I'm not aware of. Betty says she struggles with shoulder rotations. So when you say shoulder rotations, do you mean coming up and around? Do you mean rolls? What are you referring to? And shoulders are a complicated joint. So when we think about moving our shoulders, and well, I have a question for you. How many muscles do you think connect your arm, this bone in your arm, to your torso? How many muscles? I'm going to let you answer that and I'll come back to Betty's question. Ali says with press-ups, is it okay to do them raised, like against a bench? As when I do them on the ground, I struggle with my form and my strength isn't there yet. Absolutely. I would much rather see a regressed version of an exercise super strong than a progressed version that's not great. So when we do press-ups against a wall, so if I just point this up slightly, when we do press-ups against a wall, we can vary the angles quite a lot more. Oh, I think I pointed a bit too high. So this that I'm about to do, I have my hands on the wall here. I've still got my core tight. I still have my legs straight. The movement is still coming from my shoulders. This is still perfectly good press up. We don't need to be on the floor. We don't need to do that. And I tend to keep people straight, so not dropping to their knees, and then raise their hands. So instead of dropping to your knees, I would rather see you raise your hands and make your press ups easier that way. So Ali, that's perfect. Any takers for the number of muscles that connect our arm to our torso? I asked this question quite a lot, so if any of you have been in my sessions before, you might already know the answer to this. I'm not seeing anything come in, so I'm going to spoiler alert. It's only two. There's only two muscles that connect our torso to our arm, which seems mad. It's our pecs and our lats. So our pecs come in from here down into our chest. Craig said 25. A lot of people guessed quite high. So yeah, 2 is a tiny amount. And then in the back, we have our lats, which are a big muscle coming down and then dropping down towards our back. There's a huge amount of other muscles that go into that movement. So our shoulder blade is obviously a moving bone, and a lot of the connections from our arm to our torso go through our shoulder blade, which is another moving bone. So when we move, a lot of this is coming from like combinations of muscles firing together. So Betty's just said the shoulder issue happens mostly when I do needle scale stretches or try to. Comments coming in and I've lost it. Give me a second, let me find the rest of that. Facebook was too quick for me there. Show me my comments, Facebook. Okay, I can't see it. So it's the rotation, so as you flip over. So it's this movement. So that's quite that is a technical movement. That is something that is worth discussing more and more. Are you doing from like a table flip, so you hold the foot and then draw over? Because a lot of that actually comes down to increasing our ability to to lift our arm overhead and then work on our external rotation and our internal rotation, and spreading our bend evenly from like our head through to our hip flexors. For me, I don't train this at the moment because my lower back does most of the work, because I'm still addressing tension in my shoulders. But Betty, I think that's something that we could probably talk about offline, because it is very specific to you and your body and where the tension is. But that flip actually takes a huge amount of strain. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about going from, oh sorry Pippa, I just kicked my dog. Oh. We're talking about going from here, so I've got my hand this way, to drawing my hand overhead and then holding like that, which, as you can imagine, is a pretty big and pretty intense movement. And there's a lot of technical things to that. And actually, if you can avoid doing it and you can lift the foot and then reach over with the other hand and then regrip, it doesn't take your shoulder through that vulnerable switch point. But yeah, Betty, let's catch up. Let's catch up offline. I'd like to see where you are with that one, actually. But yeah, so you can see technique covers a lot of things. We can go from squat technique right up to doing horrible crap to our bodies. Yeah, and just for any of you who don't know, needle scales are ridiculous. I think there's a couple of folk in the group who are training them. I haven't trained them in a while. And this is another thing about technique, is when we know what good technique involves, we can start preparing for things before we start doing them. So I know at the moment my hip flexors are quite tight because I spent a lot of time on a desk. So I'm not training back bends in a big way. I'm not training needle scales because I know I need to get back to my kind of average point of having good mobility through my hips before I start doing that. So it kind of makes the whole journey easier when we're aware of where our body is. Ali says only 2. I know, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'd been a qualified PT for a really long time before that one, like before that penny dropped. And I felt a bit violated. I was like, everything I know is wrong. Yeah, only 2. And it is your pecs and your lats. So the 2 big muscles, they do a lot of work for us. But everything else comes through other bones, other things. It's crazy. Yeah, madness. But anyway, I'm just conscious that I've been here for 25 minutes, and that's a long time for me to be rabbiting on about form at you all. If you have any other questions, if you're catching the replay, do just pop them in to the comments. I love seeing people watch this in the replay, and I will try and get back to you as best I can. If I'm not getting any notifications, because Facebook's been really weird recently, if I'm not getting any notifications, just tag me in it, and hopefully on another day things will work and I'll find it again. So do ask questions, do reach out for help, and bear in mind that there is that Technique Hub in the Orchard. So if you haven't already checked it out, I'm just going to share that link again because I'm needy. And play. So if you haven't already checked it out, go and look at the Orchard. Come and play with me. It's really fun, I promise, and not at all scary. Had lovely new members joining who I'm just getting set up on the app and getting everything sorted for their goals. And if improving your technique is one of your goals, we can absolutely work on that. And Charlie, we're catching up soon, so we can talk about press ups then as well, because press ups are fun. But anyway, any other questions, type them in. I will reply when I can. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm going to be bringing these lives back every Friday. They'll be hopefully at 12 or 12:30 going forwards. So a little bit earlier, you'll hopefully be able to catch me in your lunch breaks. And of course, they'll stay live in this group. And what I will also be doing is sharing them on my YouTube channel. So you can share them outside the group without the comments and questions. And I'll also be sending an email summary out every Thursday. So that's going to replace my kind of normal newsletter that I've been doing, is going to be a Thursday summary. So the summary for this one will come out in 6 days, just in time for the live the next day. So if you want to get those emails, let me know and I can send you a link to sign up. I've not sorted out behind the scenes things for that yet, but I can still get your name on that list if you want the summaries too. But it's been lovely speaking to you all, and I hope I will see you all again next Friday for another round of me chatting shit. I also want to say, I think this is the first Zoom live I've done in ages where there's not been a single animal interruption. I feel like this is a special occasion. But yes, go and have a lovely weekend. Enjoy what's left of the snow if you have any, and I will speak to you all again very soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.